Welcome to the special edition of the Footy News / Spurs show. I thought I was going to do a Footy News today, but then because of Spurs sacking Jose Mourinho, I thought I'd do an emergency Spurs show for you guys today. We'll have the latest news for you. So I'm joined by my dad today for around 20 to 30 minutes while we were talking about the latest topics of football and also about Spurs. But yes, obviously there's been lots of recent events. But how are you today?
Good today.
Yeah. So first up, we're going to talk about is Europa. Is it the European Super League? The European Super League possibly happening. We're going to ask you over 3 questions about them. You can ask the same questions because I know you haven't prepared for this, have you? I told you about this about 2 minutes ago. But yeah, guys. So first, I've asked you a question. I'd like to answer it as much detail as possible. If that's all right. Yes. First question up is: what is your opinion on this? What is your opinion on the Super League?
Brilliant.
Like, being serious.
That's fantastic.
No, being serious. What is your opinion on this?
Well, it's awful. It's the worst decision in the history of football. But the more today's gone on, the more I'm convinced it ain't going to happen. Fan power won't allow it to happen. It can't.
So you think it'll be overwritten by fans?
The fact that UEFA have come out and said any players playing it will be banned from playing international football. Who's going to want to play for these teams if they can't play for their country? It's a non-starter.
Yeah.
Ain't happening.
You asked me one. You asked me one question now.
Who won the Grand Prix?
No, but actually the topic.
What are there any? Do you think there's any pros in a European Super League?
What, like, good things about it?
Yeah.
To be honest, no.
There isn't.
I think the reason for it, you can ask me a question about this in a minute, but I think the reason for it is consistently, you'll be playing the same teams consistently for years to come. Why would you want to play the same teams? You'll get bored of it. It'd be fun the first year, but after the second year, you'll be playing Real Madrid week in, week out. And I think the thing is, I know that I hate to basically do wrong about Spurs, but Spurs and Arsenal, how they have been invited to it, they're both mid-table in Premier League. I'd rather give it to a team like Leicester. But I think the problem with this is that there's no good thing about it because it's all about money, really, at the end of the day.
It is all about money.
It is all about money.
In the Champions League, if you've got, say, I think we've played Borussia Dortmund consecutively or even twice in the space of 3 years. I remember the draw happening and it was like, we've got Dortmund again, we've already played them. Christ, you'll be watching Tottenham against Madrid every other week. Who wants to watch that? It's absolute garbage. It just be no interest in it whatsoever. You can't get relegated, which is a shambles. There's no promotion. It's just like the American League that has got no worldwide interest whatsoever. Only people that support those teams in America watch it, really. Because there's nothing to play for at the end of the day. There's no ups or downs. So how is that going to benefit players, fans? As soon as mathematically not possible to win the European Super League, what excitement is there for a fan? You can't go down. So what's the point? What's the point?
I think the problem with you saying getting relegated, I think that's the thing that makes football great. Most seasons you always see a relegation battle between teams of bottom of the league. In this league,
I enjoy watching that as much as teams going for the title. If it was,
last match day, Newcastle Fulham, that could be a relegation battle at the end of the day. I don't think it will be anymore. But then at the end of the day,
that would be absolutely amazing to watch.
Yeah, but then you're watching the same teams every week. You're seeing your favourite club, Tottenham, getting battered. We're not going to have a chance at the end of the day, are we? Being realistic, we have a chance at the end of the day against Madrid.
No, I don't think you can say that.
Or Barca.
Because the money is going to generate...
You could buy good players in the day.
Yeah, but like I said, who's going to want to play for you if you can't play for your country?
Yeah, well...
It's just going to base... You may as well pick retired players.
Apparently,
won't get picked for their country.
Europe Super League have come out and said that each team that joins will get £250 million.
350.
Is it 350? Is it £350 million as soon as you join? That's more than you get when you win a Premier League and Champions League the same year. That is just mental. I think the problem is, it's just that's what football's come to at the end of the day. Owners, they just want to get money at the end of the day. They just want to get money. They don't care about the fans at the end of the day. And I think I'll ask you a question. The last question would be about a statement I'm going to say in a minute. But yeah, so next question for you. It's been talked about a lot. I'll do 4 questions. I got a few questions to ask you.
Greedy, are you?
Second question: do you think people overreacting when they say it's the death of football, or do you not?
No, they're not overreacting. That it is. It is. That would be football as we know it finished.
Why do you think that it's the death of football?
Because you wouldn't have the teams in the Premier League. It'd be gone.
Yeah.
European Champions League gone. These teams wouldn't be in the FA Cup. The national teams. What was the point of watching a World Cup and Euros?
Yeah.
You'd have half decent players in it.
Well, obviously, England, they're going to have...
Death of football is not an overreaction because that's exactly what it would be. But like I said, the reaction, I've yet to meet one person or read about one person that's in favour of it. Fan power will stop it. But also, players can't really speak at the moment.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee Harry Kane, for one, is at home now thinking, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing against Real Madrid 15 times in the next 2 years and giving up me England career for it. No.
We'll talk about that topic. I'll ask you one more question quickly. What players in the teams that have signed up, so that's United, all the big 6, and the other teams as well, what players from clubs do you reckon will say, no, I'm leaving this club now because you've joined the Super League, I'm leaving your club because I want to play internationally? What players do you think will do that?
All of them.
Every single one of them?
Or they'll either be sold, held to ransom, left to rot in the reserves, waiting for their contracts to run out. No one's going to give up their international football career for that.
What players from Spurs do you think will actually want to play in this Super League?
None.
None at all.
I'd be amazed if any.
Sanchez, he's been playing.
No, what? And then not play for Colombia? No, none.
Harry Kane, Son.
Yeah, give up his. You know how committed Son is to South Korea.
Yeah.
There's absolutely none.
Absolutely
none. I think the Super League are hoping, I'd imagine, to have talks with UEFA and the Premier League to maybe get them to backtrack to say, look, we'll still be in your Premier League, but they're not going to accept it. So it's a non-starter.
Yes. Do you think? Obviously, you read last night. You said that there could be a midweek game for this, and then there'll be a Premier League game. I don't understand that. I guess you don't as well, because how players are going to play Tuesday or Wednesday, then play the following Saturday or Sunday, is beyond me. What do you think about that? Possibly.
Well, they can do it like they do it, but then there's a break. But there won't be a break if
actually a league.
No, because it's going to be run from August to May like a normal season.
Yeah.
So it's a non-starter.
You asked me one question now.
Yeah, so the European Super League, if it does happen,
Yeah.
then how do you think, how will players be able to cope with the mentality of just playing the same team every other week and not going to places like Burnley and Barnsley and places like that where it's a completely different experience for them, and you know they look forward to these big games in Europe,
Yeah.
but will they be motivated every week to be just playing the same repetitive games?
No way. And obviously, you talked about Burnley there. That's the excitement. You know, obviously, us three can't go to Tottenham games because we live how many hours away from London? 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So we can't really go to games consistently. I'd love to go to one of the Tottenham games at their new ground. I'd love that one day. But I think that what you said there it's people, right, who work, you know, Monday to Friday, getting money to go to Burnley on Sunday, and then that would be exciting for them. And I think the problem is, I think would it have to
Our
be
fans
played
gonna
at neutral
afford
ground to fly somewhere every week.
Every other week.
That's a problem for me.
Some fans do it for Europe, but that might only be
Every
4 or 5 times
yeah.
a year. You're talking 20 times a year.
I think the problem is with players being motivated, they won't be motivated to play every week. Say you're playing Real Madrid in 1 week and you lose, you know, Tottenham probably. I want to be motivated. If we do go into the Super League, I want to go into each game with hopes, obviously, because it's Tottenham end of the day. But if they do lose, say 4-0 1 week to Real Madrid, they play into Milan next week, then they're not going to be motivated, are they? Playing the same teams each week, it'll be the same for each club. They won't be motivated, will they? I'll ask you the same question now. I'll ask you the same question as you asked me.
I'm finding it difficult to talk about this topic because I genuinely don't believe it's going to happen. So it's like talking fantasy.
Do you want this to happen?
No.
Well, answer the question.
There's no way you're going to get players playing if they can't play for their country. It's a non-starter, and if they are adamant, I don't know who's going to play for these clubs. It's right. More. Oh, I got one. Would you watch Tottenham in a European Super League?
I've been talking to you last day or so about would you support another team, and I'm thinking if we do go into that Super League, I'm generally thinking about supporting another team, because obviously people, you know,
you can't support another team. I couldn't support another team.
No, I don't mean that. I mean still like Spurs, but because they're, you know, money grabbing, and I think that most.
What we could do is get on the bus and go and watch Carlisle.
Yeah, I mean most fans.
But I have read a lot today about fans. They're not renewing their season tickets.
Yeah, that's a problem. I've read yesterday on the Liverpool stream. This guy has been the Liverpool season ticket holder for 60 years, and he said if they go into Super League, he's not getting a season ticket ever again.
No.
I think the problem is you're feeding them money. Nowadays, that's my problem with Darren Levy now. He doesn't spend money, but he gets it in now. I think that's why he's gone into it.
I think if we've spent all the money on the stadium,
yeah,
and we haven't had to strengthen the squad, and now he's been waved £350 million in front of him and say, right, you can have this for starters, and he's gone, right, we're obviously struggling, we haven't made any money in the last year,
yeah,
and that's what these American owners, Russian owners, Middle East owners, they're all doing the same. They've taken the money, not thought about the fans, but I think they're going to underestimate
how much fans can do.
You know, the other issue is you've got what people call the modern day fan, which are tourists in teams like, because City have got successful, Chelsea over the last 10 years, they have happy day trippers that will go and watch them, and that's the type of fan they want, because they'll go in the club shop and spend X amount of money. Your average football fan will go to the match, but they'll spend money outside the ground, going for a couple of drinks and a meal, and they won't even go in the club shop. They'll just pay for their ticket, watch the game, support their team, and go home. And these owners know they can make money elsewhere, and maybe they're thinking, right, well, let's just get rid of these fans and let's have a new modern day fan. We'll fill the stadiums with them, and they'll all spend money in the club shop, online, and not forgetting about where these fans have put their club in the first place.
What was your question again? I've forgotten now, actually. What was your question?
I made it up. It wasn't even a proper question.
Yeah, so I think that, as you said, the problem with fans is they do so much for the club. They motivate the players at the end of the day. Without the fans at the stadium, most of the players have not been consistent, have they? Spurs have been a prime example of that. Because there's no fans there, it can go either way. Which, in some ways, it's made football more exciting. Because it's made
I wish this had come out when there's fans in the stadium.
Yeah, because I think there'd be uproar, definitely.
Oh.
There'd be, but I think that the problem with these, the modern day fans is they're going to obviously spend the money at the end of the day, but then the players won't get motivated because they won't cheer on people, will they? Really, at the end of the day, they'll cheer the players a bit, but then
they're not proper fans.
Yeah. So one more question I'm going to ask you is I'll ask you a few more as well, but so people have been saying, obviously, someone scored. Oh, it's Liverpool, I think. But yeah, so obviously people have been saying they are going to basically boycott the Super League. They're not going to watch the games. They're going to refuse to go to the stadium at the end of the day. Would you be agreeing to that, and would you do that as well, or would you not? Like, would you boycott the Tottenham base at the end of the day because then?
It'd be hard not to watch your team.
Yeah, completely.
It'll be hard not to watch your team. So I don't know how you could boycott as such, but it would not be the same as watching football now. You can't just
stop watching your team.
No. But God, it'd be different and boring.
Yeah.
And you don't want that.
Yeah. So obviously you asked me basically what the pros of this tournament. I'm gonna basically it's league/tournament, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna ask you a different question. What do you? There's gonna be a list of things for you, but what do you think is the wrong things about this tournament and / league?
Everything.
But like what? I agree with that, but like what?
Well, no promotion and relegation. Same teams week in, week out. That's the be and end all of it. It's a nonsense.
And one last question. Do you agree with Jose Mourinho at the end of the day? Because obviously he's been sacked now.
What?
Breaking
news.
He's been sacked now at the end of the day. And obviously we think the reason is because he didn't want to train his players because of the Super League at the end of the day. Do you agree with what he's done then?
Well, if it is for that reason, then fair play to him. He took a stance, and yeah, I wish more people would do that.
Yeah. But yes, one last thing I want to say is it is a joke. It is at the end of the day, isn't it? It's an absolute joke.
It won't happen.
If it does happen, it's an absolute joke, and that just proves that the big six owners, they only care about money at the end of the day. They don't care about the fans. The bottom 14 clubs, they may have not been invited because they're not the big six at the end of the day. But I believe that Leicester and West Ham could have been invited at the end of the day. And if they did turn down that invitation, fair play to them, because that means that their owners care about their club, and then, the big six don't care about the club now, do they? Really, they don't care about the fans. They just care about money, and that's proved it. So now, one last question quickly again. Obviously, Daniel Levy is now basically accepted the invitation at the end of the day. So what is your thoughts on Daniel Levy now? Basically, what are your thoughts on him as a person now, as an owner? Because he's basically invited this competition because of the money. He's not accepted it to play Madrid and Barcelona. It might have done, but it's more about the money. So what are your thoughts on Levy now?
Well, he's probably just proved that he's all about the money. He's a businessman. He may say he's a fan, and he might follow Tottenham, but his priority is
money,
and not caring about the fans. The fact that the managers weren't even spoken to about it, it was just announced last night that they've already signed.
It's a disgrace.
Is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's a disgrace at the end of the day.
So,
but you asked one last question. If you can.
There's no more questions.
Yeah. So next up, we're going to move. That was about 20 minutes long. That was probably about 15 minutes topic now. So that's 20 minutes maybe.
Five. That's all it is.
About Jose.
Surprised at the timing.
Yeah, completely.
6 days away from a cup final. I assumed before this Super League nonsense was announced that
he would leave it in the season. He'd be sacked.
Or he would be back properly in the summer. I suppose he was my number one choice.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't going to get Pep, so he was my number one choice. That better not be.
It is.
And if I had visions of what he would do, he'd win us a trophy. I thought now, especially when we were top before Christmas, I thought we'd be in top four comfortably. Maybe 8 point gap, 8 point gap. For whatever reason, it hasn't worked out, and Jose's won trophies everywhere he's been, and this is probably the first club he's failed at.
Yeah, completely.
Is that because he hasn't been back properly?
I think it's players.
Is it? Because I think if you go through, apart from a defence aside, I think
we have a world-class team.
We have a great team. Great left back, World Cup winning goalkeeper, centre halves and right backs been a major problem.
Great,
but I thought someone of his stature could have coached them to learn how to defend. And like I said, for whatever reason, he hasn't done it, and I am completely shocked that he hasn't been able to do it. It's not what I predicted. Great things under him.
Yeah.
And it hasn't happened. And I suppose on that theory, he had to go because where are we, 8th?
Yeah, 7th.
Simply isn't good enough.
Yeah.
I know we're in a League Cup final.
That's a Cup of Day. It's a major trophy, but it's not a.
The Europa League was just an embarrassment. A Jose team would never have done that ever.
I think the players weren't playing for him. So I asked you a few questions now. And you asked me a few questions again. So one question, I'll answer it as well. So you basically asked me to me as well. What do you think is going on with Spurs at the moment? I'm going to say we're in a crisis right now. Since January, what do you think has gone wrong with Spurs? And recently as well, what do you think has gone wrong with them?
Can't defend. It's so simple as that.
Any other reasons?
Not really. I think that's the bulk of it. If you can't defend, you're not going to win football matches. Every team that's won anything,
has good defenders.
even you look at attacking sides in past like Brazil and Barcelona,
They still have good defenders.
they're all out attacking, but when you've got players like Cafu at the back and Puyol for
And Alves.
Barcelona and Alves and Ramos, you know, you've got a starting point at the back,
In case of a counter attack.
and then the rest of your team can play freely. Where we haven't had the defence changes week in, week out. That tells you
That's the problem.
that tells you everything. That we've not got a settled team because they're not good enough, and that's where our problems have been all season. Defence.
You asked me a question. I'll answer it quickly. I think the main reason what's going on with Spurs is I think it's basically a Spursy moment. I think that we have basically, as a club, we've basically had this reputation that we always bottle it at the end of the day. We bottled the Europa League against Dinamo Zagreb. And I think at the end of the day, it's the whole club, isn't it? You can't just blame. I think the problem with Josie Alters, you know where Josie Alters, right, when he was in the club, the problem with them is they were just blaming him, weren't they? They were just blaming Mourinho. They were saying, why don't you get the players to play for him? But at the end of the day, it's everyone, isn't it, Dad? At the end of the day, it's the owners, it's the players, it's the manager, it's even the bench. And I think the main problem is that they haven't got the mentality, should we say? They haven't got the mentality to push forwards. And I think that's what we had in the Champions League final, isn't it? Really, we didn't play well in that Champions League final, did we? Really, it was one of the worst Champions League finals ever, wasn't it, to watch? Really. 2-0. Even if I was a neutral fan, I'd say it's one of the worst Champions League finals. But yes, I think it's just a Spurs moment at the end of the day. But do you think the players haven't been playing for him recently in some games like Dinamo Zagreb and Everton and like Brighton? I don't think they've been playing for him at all.
Yeah, there is that. It's combination of things.
Well, do you think that Daya is one of the problems because he sits on the bench week in, week out, and he's making people laugh on the bench. He's making jokes on the bench. He's just.
He wasn't Jose's type of player.
No.
They fell out. He didn't pick him really. He picked him a bit lately. I don't understand why Bale didn't play more.
Yeah, recently at least.
I think there's a lot behind the scenes that
we haven't seen.
That you don't know.
But yeah, so also, I'll answer the question as well, again. Do you think, you've already answered that he's failed at Spurs, but do you think he's failed at Spurs? And do you think if he was given another 2-3 years, he was back properly, do you think he would have succeeded? Do you reckon he would have got us top 4, got us trophies? What do you reckon?
He's failed, but he would have to have been back.
Yes, completely.
Properly. That defence needs a complete new rebuild. And that doesn't happen overnight. I've always said I would give him 6 months next season if he was back properly. I mean, if we were still where we are and hadn't improved, then he would have had to go. But yeah, it just hasn't worked.
Well, I think he's definitely failed. I think you give him another few years and he succeeded. I think the problem with people saying Jose Altidore has failed is that you realise at Porto, at Chelsea, we didn't really succeed at Chelsea. He did a bit, but at the clubs he's done amazing at. He's had world class players, hasn't he? I think that's the thing he's done with Harry Kane, hasn't he, Dad? He's made Harry Kane. He's made Harry Kane from amazing to world class, hasn't he? That's what Jose does, I think. He's made him better at least. He's made him better than when he was with Pochettino. Basically, he was already amazing. But I think that's what Jose does. He doesn't rebuild, does he? He doesn't bring up the youth. That's why he wanted Bruno Fernandes. We got Jason Fernandes. Also, this is what I've said for ages. The board did not buy the right players today.
No.
He wanted Bruno Fernandes, Jason Fernandes. He wanted Ruben Diaz, who is going to be arguably, I'm going to say, one of, if not the best defender in the world this season. And, I think that... And we got Rodon today. Rodon is a team leader. He is good, but he is nothing compared to Ruben Diaz today. He is nothing compared to Ruben Diaz. But then the problem is, if you think about Ruben Diaz, do you think that's being influenced by Pep? Pep has made players into amazing, because John Stones, you think about John Stones?
Classic Foden.
Yeah, John Stones, Foden. I thought, you can't really say De Bruyne, can you? But I think I'm going to say De Bruyne, actually. I think he was very good at Wolfsburg, but I think he's made him better. Personally, I think he's made him better. So, do you think we need a manager like Pep? We're not going to get Pep obviously in the day, obviously. But do you think we should get a manager like Pep who can transform, basically, I'm going to say crap players like Dele Alli, Dyer. He probably wouldn't produce Dyer, would he? No one can make him, I don't think, amazing.
No, I think he's going to be as good as he gets.
Well, do you think that we've really, in the future, what's his first name again? Mason? Ryan Mason, did you say?
Mm.
I didn't know him. When did he play for us?
10 years ago maybe, when he had to retire for a head injury.
Did he play for Hull?
He did play for Hull, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I remember him at. Yes, I think, do you think, this is one more question, do you think we should get a manager like Pep, who basically is going to come into Spurs and say, I want these players, that's what Jose obviously said as well, but I want these players, and he's going to transform them from, crap to amazing. He's going to get average players, like maybe Jurgen Klopp did. He got some players that might have been a bit risky in the day, and he got them. Would you want to get a manager basically not Pep in the day, basically like Pep?
But yeah, that's what every team wants, surely.
Yeah, but not as good as him obviously, but basically transform the players. Transform the players.
Yeah, that's what you want, and just basically give the flair players freedom. Make sure they do their jobs when teams are attacking us, but give them a licence to attack, and we've got players of capability to destroy teams.
Yeah.
But they do need the defence.
Yeah.
Right, I'll leave you to it now.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, fans.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, so I'm going to talk quickly about Jose Mourinho now, very quickly. And I'm going to basically answer a few questions that I asked Dad as well. When it's just then. Do I think he was the right man for the job at the end of the day? It's a bit of a hard question to answer that, to be fair. There's two answers to this. There's obviously yes and no. And I think I'm going to answer both with both. Because if you're looking for a manager who's going to transform players like Kane into world-class players from they're already great / amazing to world-class players. Oh, sorry if you think about this. I twist my arm or something. But yeah, so do I think he's the right man for the job? Sorry. I'm going to answer yes first, and I'll explain why. I'm going to answer no as well, and I'm going to explain why. Yes, and I think because you give him 250 million this transfer window, he's going to do extraordinary things with that. He's going to do absolutely extraordinary things with that. He's going to... You got to get the great players in today. You have to. It's a priority with Jose Mourinho today. You have to get the great players. You have to get the world class players, because he does that with players. He does that with players in the day. He doesn't build youth, and that is why he might not be. That's why he might not have been the best manager in the day, best man for the job, because people in the day do want both, and that's why I think that. People are not gonna get that at the end of the day. People are not gonna get that because you're not gonna get a youth manager who basically, as soon as the youth players come in, he's going to go and win Champions League. You're not going to get that players, are you, basically, at the end of the day? You're not going to get players like that. You're not going to get managers like that. There's no manager at the end of the day who, you might win it in 8 years' time, but there's people who want the trophies right now. That's what Spurs fans obviously want. That's why we got Jose in, is to basically bring the trophies at the end of the day. We thought that he could be the man for the job. I thought he definitely was. When he joined, I thought that he was going to be the man of the day. The man of Spurs. I thought he was going to bring us trophies. And quickly, Dad, I've got a few questions. Got 2 more questions. No, Dad, I got 2 more questions. No, okay. But yes, I think that definitely he should have stayed till the summer, backed him, because you need to back.
One question.
One question, okay. So basically, Roy Keane at the end of basically when it was the end of Spurs game, he said Spurs fans basically when you're in a question when you're basically arguing with them, they say they got to the Champions League final, and they say we're too soft for the team basically, because that's our best. That is what we bring upon. We bring upon to the Champions League final. Do you agree with that basically?
That we're soft.
Yeah.
We've always been labelled that. That was, we brought Ndombele in maybe to change that, and
Hasn't happened.
And Holberg to solid it up, so we're not like eggshells. But again, hasn't happened. So we've always been labelled it, and in the past it's been right. Spursy, very Spursy, and nothing's changed this season.
Well, do you think that when he joins, last question, do you think when he joined, because Mourinho Pochettino is so good with that team, do you think that we basically overthought? We thought he was going to win trophies. We basically over-expected him. We basically expected him to get top 4, get the trophies. Because at the end of the day, I think that the reason that Pochettino did amazing, I don't know if you agree with this, is because he had great players. He had Danny Rose, who arguably on his day was fantastic.
Oh, love Danny Rose.
Fantastic. Moussa Dembele, who you say is the underrated centre mid.
One of,
yeah. Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, he had prime Ericsson, basically, Dea's 24, but when he was amazing, and he had all the amazing players. So do you think that because, answer that Pochettino thing first, do you think that the reason Pochettino basically succeeded at Spurs was because of the players he had at the end of the day?
Well, it helped. It would help any manager.
And also, do you think that, but the reason he succeeded in the Champions League because of luck, do you think that?
Well, every team needs luck.
So also
look at United when they won the treble, 1-0 down in 90th minute. Luck. Liverpool when they won in Istanbul, Shevchenko missed a sitter. Luck. They were 3-0 down. You need luck.
Anywhere
along the way. We had luck at Man City, Ajax in the 90th minute. But that happens every team, in every competition, in the history of football. You need luck. And
do you, answer Joe's question, do you think we over-expected him for the first season? This is his first full season, and we expected him to get top 4, get a trophy.
He's had long enough to sort that defence out.
Do you think we've expected him to, or do you think we were right in saying he should have got top 4 by now, or do you not think?
Yeah, no, he should have. He definitely should have.
Yep. Okay. But yeah, guys, that's my dad.